What's going on YouTube? WildLion Games here, live in New York City. Let's go give it up. It's been a long road for 26K games, but 2.5 years later, Sunday Rivals escapes the trap of early access that many indie games never get out of, and it hits the ground running. It's vibrant, it's fast, it's action-packed, and there's a decent amount to do here and to play around with if you give it the chance. Some gamers may look at Sunday Rivals and not give it the time of day, while others may see a list of some of these features and start creating too high of expectations. So what I'm here to do is bridge that gap between those two types of gamers and also give my honest opinion about the game. My review will be as objective as possible, and as we all like and enjoy different sports titles and what they have to offer, I will still give my 2 cents about what I think of the game, but ultimately I'm going to be grading the game on what it is doing and not what I wish it was doing. Sunday Rivals is available on Steam for $19.99 right now and has controller support. I hope you all enjoy the video, and if you want to see more reviews, please hit subscribe. It really does help me out a lot as I try and navigate my career, but without further ado, let's jump into the review. First up is graphics. I reviewed this game in early access back in October of 2020, and my sentiment about the graphics is about the same. It looks great, and the dynamic lighting and weather really makes the colors pop, and honestly it just kind of reminds me about my background in the film world. You know, people get so caught up with camera resolution and slow-mo footage, but if you know how to light a scene properly, you could actually make like an old Canon T4i with, 1080 standard HD look just as good as a new Blackmagic 6K camera. Lighting can take the image a long way. Proper exposure can take an image a long way, and gaming's the same. Lighting can make the game look so much better and give you that extra oomph and power that you're really looking for. I love the dynamic time of day and seeing the sky change and the colors change as the game goes on from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. And it may not seem like much, it might be a small detail, but again, the attention to those small details is what really brings the game to life and adds that extra layer of depth. Plus, this may sound weird, but the snow looks so good in this game. So good. I haven't seen snow look this good in a football game since like the early Madden games on PS1 and PS2. You know, that heavy, wet snow that's just blanketing the field. Players are falling into it. The snow is piling up. It's awesome to see, especially when Madden, as of recent, the best you get is just like, a little dusting on the field. And that's like all they can do on these, on these current gen consoles. So I love that they have actual like heavy snow as a weather effect. And now I can go create like the Buffalo Bills Snowmageddon game if I wanted to in Sunday Rivals. The art style is on point, and I know that low poly isn't like everybody's choice, but it's done extremely well here. Sound design. Not much going on here, to be honest. They added some music to the menus which breaks up the silence, and it's a nice change of pace. And the soundtracks are pretty good. On the field sound is good too, but nothing much to report, as it's just, your pretty generic football sounds and crowd noises. It's not bad, it doesn't stand out as anything special, so I don't have like any worthwhile commentary to extend a conversation about sound design. Like, it exists, it's not bad, it's not good, it's just there, and that's what I have to say about the sound. Gameplay. As with all games, gameplay is king, and Sunday Rivals has definitely made some small tweaks over the course of 36 months, and I think it shows. This is an arcade game on the surface, but there's a lot of details hidden underneath the hood that make each team unique. Being an arcade game, one of the changes in the settings I like to make, just for me personally to make it more enjoyable, was actually moving the game clock from like 5 minutes to either 3 or 4 minutes. Games were just taking too long, and like when you're playing an arcade style game and you're hitting that like 45-50 minute mark to play a single game, that's a really long time for me personally. So if you're playing games and you find yourself getting bored, maybe take it down 3 or 4 minute quarters. To me, that's the sweet spot, and it still gives you enough time to pull off a comeback if you need to. You get multiple possessions per quarter still, so I think that's the sweet spot. But On to the actual gameplay. Like I said, this is an arcade game. Don't make any mistakes about it. It's not sim. It's not simcade. It is arcade. You have your 2 juke buttons. You have the button to cover up the ball. Player collisions kind of look like NFL Blitz or like an early Madden 99 game. And that's not a negative comment. I'm just telling you that, like, don't look at Sunday Rivals as your Madden or 2K football replacement. Like, it's not a sim game. But unlike Madden, which does a terrible job at being a simulation football game, Sunday Rivals does an excellent job at being an arcade football game. The AI is pretty smart too, and if you start running the same plays over and over, they will catch on very quick, like basically immediately. So I'll give you this example here. Found this play in the Chiefs playbook. It's like this bubble screen on one side with the go route on the other side. And I took off running with Mahomes, and I saw the safety come down, so I threw it deep. And I was like, nice. I just found a cheat play because I can fake scramble with Mahomes towards the deep route, pull the safety down, and just chuck it to a wide open receiver. I ran it again. Nope. Next play, the defense made adjustments, and they covered both the Patrick Mahomes run and the deep route. And then I ran it again the 3rd time in a row, and I got the first down, but I think that was more of like slight stick skills plus Patrick Mahomes attributes just being really good because, you know, he's well, as in this game, Pete Mohawk. but yeah, we know it's Patrick Mahomes. And I didn't get the first down, and then I ran it a 4th time and it also failed. So the defense is smart. The Sunday Rivals AI is more intelligent than Madden. Yeah, I said it. It's true. Quote me on it. Put it up there, you know, when they have gameplay trailers, right? And they've got like all the review quotes from IGN and Game Informer. Go ahead and put that up there. Put it up there as the quote. Sunday Rivals is more intelligent than Madden. WildLion Games. Again, something it also does better than Madden is I don't ever feel cheated by these like BS animations or stupidity from the offensive line or the secondary just standing around. And one of the other examples I explored here was team styles. And this is really cool where you can actually customize the play calling style that different teams can have on both offense and defense. And for example, in the NFL, the Chiefs and the Titans are probably 2 of the most polar opposite teams, right? You know, the Chiefs are like that high octane, fast offense. They just sling the ball downfield, spread it out, very West Coast. And then you look at the Tennessee Titans, and they really rely on the run play, right? They rely on Derrick Henry. They run the ball a lot. When Tannehill passes, it's usually out of a play action. And so I kind of see these 2 teams as opposites. So I wanted to go in here into these like team styles and try and see if I can recreate these unique personalities that we see in real life of the Chiefs and Titans. So I go into the settings, I pick which options I think are best represented by these 2 teams, and then I go in and watch a CPU versus CPU game. And you can actually see the styles take place on the field immediately. I mean, Mahomes is throwing these like quick little routes to his fast receivers left and right. They're throwing the ball 70% of the time. The Titans are just giving it back and forth to their 2 running backs 80% of the time. They throw it every once in a while. And now the game leans heavily in the Chiefs' favor, so I think I'll have like some tweaks to make. But it is nice to see in this game where you can have 2 totally different types of teams with different personalities and cater towards different play styles. Sure, there are a number of times I think Derrick Henry could have bounced the run outside or cut it up early in the middle, and so I think maybe the AI awareness with the running backs could be tuned a little bit. But other than that, I mean, the switch is there. I mean, even as far as like the play clock, I mean, the Chiefs, I mean, it's only a couple seconds, but in between plays in CPU versus CPU, the Chiefs are taking 10 seconds while the Tennessee Titans are taking 12, 13 seconds. And seeing that in itself was enough for me to be like, yo, look, I mean, there's just a lot of attention to detail that was done here by the developer to create teams with different personalities. So you can imagine when you come to customizing your league, you can have 32 teams that are just all different from each other, just like their real life counterparts. You also have the option to just coach the games and call the plays if you choose to do that. And it's nice to just mess around with those settings and find something that works for you. Also, just want to give a shout out to the developer at 26K for changing the controls and the button mapping. Bravo, man. I mean, you know, despite being personally called out and attacked on Twitter, I do appreciate the developer being open to criticism and making changes. So that was cool. And also what I liked about it is he kept his original button mapping in there. So if you were used to that, you can still play with that option. And look, I mean, that's the whole point, right? If you give the user options, you can never go wrong. And all jokes aside, he wasn't actually calling me out. That was definitely like a big negative in my review, so I was making a joke out of it. But all jokes aside, I do appreciate the dev being open to criticism and, you know, making those changes. I think for me personally, maybe not everybody, but again, that's why you have options there. It really did improve my gameplay experience. All right, features and customization. So I've done a lot of praising on this game so far, but this is where I'm going to start getting into some of these negatives. So right now, your game modes are Season Mode, Headhunter, and Play Now. Headhunter is a great concept where you play a 4-game ladder tournament to be the champion. You not only win by beating the other team with your traditional football rules, but you also earn these fantasy football style points along the way by what you do and achieve on the field, and you would get this Headhunter score at the end. And, you know, depending on the difficulty that you're playing at and the team you're using, that's going to give you like a points multiplier. And at the end of Headhunter, whether you lose early or you win the whole thing, you get a final score. And that's it, man. And then you play again and you try and beat your old high score. You know, I would love to see some sort of leaderboard or maybe like a trophy case, my Headhunter wins, or like a trophy room of achievements from Headhunter. I don't need online multiplayer. I don't think every game needs multiplayer, but I think some sort of leaderboard to store like Headhunter results worldwide, where I can go in and be like, oh, how'd I do? Oh man, you know, I'm ranked 3400th in the world from like that Headhunter mode. I'm gonna play this again so I can try and see if I can move up that ladder. You know what I mean? Like, I think that type of thing would be nice to see. Then we get into Season Mode, which has its pros and cons, and at the end of the day, I have to say this feels like a waste of time. And it's a mode that I don't really want to sink hours into. I would rather play Headhunter. And it's a shame to see some of the excellent customization features like stylizing your team's offense and defensive game plans, only to have it mean nothing long term. And sure, it helps in the moment with your roster and how you're going to call plays and what kind of playbook you have. But, and say you turn this into a franchise mode, you can now not only like change the style of play that you want to play, but then you can also trade and draft players that have the attributes that would fit how you want to play. So, maybe you like to play as the Tennessee Titans and eat the clock up and run the ball, and maybe your favorite team, if you're a team like, the Baltimore Ravens, maybe you don't have a running back that you like, or maybe you're the Green Bay Packers and you want to throw the ball and you don't have a receiver you like, but you want to be a gunslinging offense. You could draft a receiver that has good hands and he's speedy. But unfortunately, there's nothing to build upon within Season Mode, and it is a shame to see some of those great features under the hood not fully come to fruition. The weekly write-up about what's happening around the league is really great, and it's a lot of fun to read. I did read it all 16 weeks, and the scouting report is awesome. It actually provides valuable information, and if you go back and watch my Madden 22 review, you'll notice that the scouting reports are just the same information over and over and over again. And do your own strategy, because the game, like Madden, it's just going to give you the same recommendation every week. Like you see here, week 1, outside run. Week 2, outside run. Week 3, outside run. It's the same recommendation every single week, even though when you go and look at the play calling tendencies for each of those teams, they're all different. And they make each team feel very much the same and pretty generic. Plus, when you got on the field in Madden, what you saw in the scouting report didn't necessarily reflect like what you saw on the field. And so in Sunday Rivals, I read the scouting report, I get great information out of it, and then I see my play calls on the field reflect that scouting report, which is awesome because Madden 22 does not do that. Sunday Rivals not only provides you the information to use, but you actually get to see that information accurately represented on the field. So hats off to the developer for figuring that out by himself, what EA can't apparently do with hundreds of employees working on Madden. And just, yeah, man, hats off to you. It's really nice to see that notice that, hey, they've got a really strong outside receiver. And then, in Madden, the dude ends up with like 2 catches and they never throw to him, and like the play calls don't match up with the scouting report. And here, it actually matters. If you make intelligent play calls throughout the game, you'll actually see changes and you'll give yourself the ability to kind of run away with the game as it goes on. I was in multiple tight games in the first half, and then like middle of the third, early fourth quarter, there were a lot of games where I was like very patient and used like, you know, some thought process of which defensive plays I was calling. And I just started getting sacks left and right, started seeing fumbles, started seeing deflected balls. They're punting, they're going 3 and out. And then I was able to start scoring and just like run away with the game, and it wasn't even close. So it's really cool to see that, and it's something you don't get in Madden. The biggest disappointment for me in this game and in season mode is actually getting to the end of season mode. I made it to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, and it was like nothing happened. Like no trophy icon in the middle of the field for the Super Bowl, no special presentation, no trophy celebration or confetti when you win. I mean, there's barely a text on the screen that says congrats on winning the Super Bowl. Like, the game just ends and it takes you back to the menu, which sucks because, you know, you sink a ton of hours into a 16 game season with a full playoff, and you win some close games, and then you get to the end and it's just over. Like, you know, it would be like, you know, defeating Ganondorf in the Ocarina of Time, and as soon as you kill him, the game just takes you back to the menu like, okay, do you want to start a new one? You know what I mean? It's just really disappointing that you do all that and the presentation, like nothing about the game happens. It's just there. And so that's why I say Headhunter is the best mode, because you can get the same effect of winning something, but it takes up to 75% less time. And you also get to leave with like a personal high score to try and beat, and so it kind of gives you a reason to come back and play Headhunter mode again. But in season mode, there's really nothing to come back to try and compare yourself or beat. You're just done. Another positive feature in this game is the customization, from not only just player names to style and body type, height, accessories, visors, attributes, you name it, it's there. But then you start getting into like the stadiums and the field type, and whether it's grass or turf, and what condition it's in, the weather and the temperature, and like how early in the season you start seeing weather like rain and snow come in, and you know what the text is on the Jumbotron. And then you have, you know, your jerseys and helmets, and the customization's awesome. Like, it really is. I mean, you want to play as Green Bay, I can change the weather type to cold, how early the snow starts happening in the season, and I just love that Sunday Rivals has all this to offer in that department. You can truly just make this game your own. Alright, the final verdict. As you all know, I rate my games on a fictitious scale that is never consistent, but usually pretty entertaining, I think. So, how do I rate Sunday Rivals? Sunday Rivals is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Impeccable style, extremely smart, and while he may not be a franchise quarterback, he does what he does well. And for whatever reason, Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't stay long with the same team. He has a tendency to be bounced around, but he is loved dearly wherever he goes. And Sunday Rivals is very much the same. With no franchise mode to keep you around long term, I think you're still going to want this game on your team. And when you're in the mood for some reliable football on the field, you know where to turn to, right? Ryan Fitzpatrick, he graduated from Harvard. He scored a 48 on the Wonderlic, super smart guy. Sunday Rivals AI, it knows the game of football. It has good defensive strategies that will sniff out your offensive scheme if you're getting lazy. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, he dresses to impress. He shows up to press conferences in style. He's got a sweet beard. Sunday Rivals has its own unique style too, with the low poly art, and it might be the only one who can pull off that style successfully, just like Fitzpatrick. And it's important to add that not everybody wants a Ryan Fitzpatrick on their team. He doesn't fit everybody's scheme. He doesn't fit everybody's style. But for those who do prefer this, you know, this is the Ryan Fitzpatrick to your gaming repertoire. As football gamers, I know it's tough right now because we've all been waiting desperately for so long for an accurate simulation football game. And so when a football game comes out that isn't that simulation football game, we're so quick to turn it down. But we also need to understand that some of these games aren't going for a simulation style. And some of these games don't have hundreds of developers on their team. So instead of being so quick to knock something down because it's not sim, let's first take a look at what kind of game the developer is trying to make here. And we see what he's trying to make. Did he do a good job of it? Yes, okay, I think it's a good game. May not be your cup of tea, but it works. It's a fun game. It's not going to be your bread and butter long term without some needed updates, but under the hood, it's as sharp as a knife. And if you just want to like kick back, listen to some of your favorite music, play a reliable, solid built football game, this Sunday Rivals has got to be your go-to. That's it from me, guys. I hope you found the review helpful and insightful. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think of the game. Until next time, peace.